Hey everyone, welcome back, and today I'm going to be doing what if Sweden decides to form an empire. So, the first thing that Sweden is going to do is become imperial. So, after Sweden is done doing that, they decide that they send an ultimatum over to Norway, and then soon, after refusing it, they declare war. So, Sweden decides that since they wanted to unite the whole entire Scandinavia, they would needed to also fight Finland. So they could have fought Finland as well, but Finland is a little bit too powerful than Sweden. So they start off with the small ones first, and then they go over to the big ones. So after Sweden decides to cut them off, and then soon capturing this northern region, they started to climb down, and then soon going all in. And then soon, a stalemate happens, and then eventually, Oslo is captured, and then soon, Norway surrenders. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty with Norway. We see the full annexation, and what they decide to do next is that they decided to go over to Denmark and asking for their entire territory. And then even though Denmark would easily get destroyed, they accepted to just not be destroyed. So as Denmark gets invaded, they go over to the Baltics and then say to them that Estonia could become a Baltic, any Scandinavian country or a Nordic country if they join. So after joining, Latvia decides to join, and so does Lithuania. So with them three joining Sweden as a new union, they now decide that it was time to go after Finland. So Sweden declares war on Finland, and then leaving leaving Sweden, whenever they have the advantage of the Finlands being unprepared, so they start going down. Soon, with the Finnish army now mobilized, they're now into stalemate. And then soon, a naval invasion happens here, and one near Helsinki. Eventually, they're threatening it on both sides, soon eventually capturing it. And then soon, the Finnish surrender. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty. We see them being fully annexed. Now we see the Nordics being unified into one. So they go over down to Europe, and then they declare war on Germany. So soon, whenever the troops are already at the border with Denmark, they already start naval invasions. One here, one here, one here near Berlin, another one threatening Berlin, and another one near the coast of Denmark. So soon, with the German troops trying to go back, trying to fight off the invasions, the Swedish troops already stationed in Denmark already start flooding in, soon connecting up with all the front lines, and then soon being able to capture Berlin. And then soon they start going down, and then Poland sees this as a chance, and then they also declare war, but Germany already surrendered. So Poland sees this as a mistake, and then they're getting invaded. Then soon, their coast is now gone, soon threatening Warsaw, and then the troops from Lithuania start coming down on the other side, soon connecting up, and then soon Warsaw falls, and then the country surrenders. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty with Germany and Poland. We see the full annexation. So what they decide to do next is that they go down. And then they declare war on the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, Hungary, Slovenia, and Croatia. So with that, they managed to get the advantage of having a point right here where they could encircle them. So eventually the Czech Republic is circled, and then next they start going down through the borders, and then also that's the same thing in Slovakia. Soon and Slovakia is encircled, and then Austria is also encircled, making Slovenia surrender. Soon Croatia is split into two, and now all capitals are being threatened. And then eventually Prague is invaded, Czechia surrenders, Slovakia's capital fall, they surrender, Vienna falls, Austria surrenders, Budapest falls, and then Hungary surrenders, and then Croatia decides to surrender early. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty. We see full annexation of those countries. So they decide to go more into the Balkans, and then they declare war on Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Romania, Moldova, Montenegro, Kosovo, Albania, and North Macedonia. Might as well throw in Bulgaria. So with Romania and Serbia being strong, they are held into a stalemate for quite some time, but then eventually one soldier decides to make a mistake, which made and a whole lot of advancements, soon capturing Sarajevo, and then capturing Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, Kosovo, and then Belgrade falls, Serbia surrenders, Bulgaria surrenders. Soon, Bucharest is captured, and then they're cut off from the coast, and then soon, Romania surrenders, and with Moldova alone, they also surrender. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here, in the peace treaty, we see that Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, and Romania and Moldova was annexed by Sweden, while Albania, North Macedonia, and Bulgaria have been turned into a puppet state as a buffer zone between Greece and Turkey. So with this, we already see that Sweden has already formed a very big empire, but they decided that they would want to secure their Baltics by getting this Walkie Gap. So, with this, they declare war on Belarus. So, with Odessa coming in, the Swedes already enter in, starting the invasion, soon capturing Minsk, and then Russia decides to join the war on the aid of Belarus, but as soon as they join, Belarus surrenders. So with this, Kaliningrad already falls over to the Swedish, and with the special troops, they start to leaving their north, and then start invading Russia, and then capturing this peninsula, soon capturing, meeting up with the Belarusians, with the Swedish troops in Belarus, and then soon capturing St. Petersburg, and then starting to head towards Moscow. And then soon, Moscow is being threatened, and then soon, Russia decides to leave the war. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty. We see that Sweden has annexed this peninsula from Russia, and capturing St. Petersburg, blocking Russia from the warm ocean or the sea. And then over here we see that Belarus got annexed, and Kaliningrad also got annexed. So with this, they decide to go after Ukraine. So after declaring the war, they start the invasion by the north, and then soon major cities like Odessa is captured, Lviv, and then soon Kiev is being threatened, and then they start to spearhead towards the Donetsk region, eventually capturing it, especially with Luhansk, and then soon with Crimea gone, Kyiv also falls, making Ukraine surrender. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty with Ukraine. We see that the western part of Ukraine got annexed, and with Kyiv at its front door, we see that the eastern part of Ukraine, plus Crimea and the Donetsk and the Luhansk region with Kyiv got turned into a puppet state as a buffer zone between them and Russia. Even though they already border each other, they might as well use a buffer zone. So with this, they send Italy an ultimatum. So, with the Swedish asking for a little bit of territory, they're asking this part of Italy to become a puppet state, while for them, annexing this part. Italy decides to refuse this as a puppet state, but they do give it. And then Italy is wanting to give them this to be annexed, but they want also a buffer zone with France. So with this, they decide to give in and turn it into a puppet. And then with this, Milan and other cities, Venice, whatever, gets annexed. And now, over here, Switzerland is 70% encased by Sweden. So right here and now, I guess over here, Greenland got released from Denmark, and over here, Iceland got annexed. So over here, in the UK, they decide to give him an ultimatum. And then, eventually they refuse the ultimatum, declaring war. And then soon, with the UK being powerful, they are able to hold off the Swedes, but then eventually, a few years go by, and then they start an invasion into Scotland. And then with the troops with the British trying to go to Scotland to push them out, and then another invasion happens here, and then here one in Wales, capturing the entirety of Wales, and then Northern Ireland falls, and then soon an invasion into England begins, but they are able to push back the Swedes from Scotland. They are unable to get Northern Ireland, but then they are able to hold off any stalemate in Wales, England, and this part. But then eventually that goes wrong as they encircle them from Scotland. And then soon, England is being pushed back, capturing London. And then soon, Scotland decides to surrender. So let's look at the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty with the UK. So Sweden decides to be kind to Ireland, and it gives up Northern Ireland to Ireland. And now for Scotland, England, Wales, they got turned into a puppet state. So with this, they decide to look down into the Benelux region, asking them to become a buffer zone. And then reluctantly, they have to agree, where they would be invaded. So with this, with buffer zones almost everywhere, Sweden decides to conclude its empire. And this is the Swedish Empire, so hopefully y'all liked the video, and I'll see you on the next one.